I'm trying to do a little bit of sound check here. Hi, Naima Bayo, how are you? How's everybody else doing here? Thank you, everybody. So glad. I'm really glad that you're here on another weekly live. Just sorting out the audio here, making sure that I'm being heard loud and clear. So let me just do that real quickly. And then I'll be able to talk about all the things that I would like to talk about today. Hope everyone is doing well and had a pretty fantastic week. It's been quite a week. So an eventful week. Naima Abai, I'm very well as well. Thank you very much. This week has definitely been trying. It's been an interesting week. It's been an interesting time altogether because of coronavirus, right? So because of coronavirus, things have been stressful. Somali no sheke af Somali af Ingriska waxa la yiraahdaa Somanglish. You know Somanglish? I want to talk Somanglish, okay? Because that's what I'm good at. So if Somali af Ingris, labadaba waan ku sheekaysanayna. Marka ila soco please. Yeah? So in both Somali and in English. It is difficult to do both, but wasku daya. I'll try. So my first really big topic, what I was been thinking about a lot in these last few weeks has been about parenting in the time of Corona. So what does parenting in the time of Corona actually look like, right? What does that look like? And how have people, parents in particular, been dealing with, right? So too much time spent together at home has proven to be really difficult for both parents and children, especially for it's also for couples and especially for parents, right? So it's just really stressful. And, parenting is difficult no matter what, right? So parenting is definitely difficult no matter what, no matter whether, you have both parents in the house, whether you have, just single parent in the house. So, parenting is it's just a difficult task, right? So now we have that added element of, being stuck at home because of the coronavirus. And it's just been really, really difficult. So if you are a parent, share with me some of the things that you have been doing to make your time parenting at home in the time of coronavirus less stressful. So what are some things you have been doing? Okay, so Abdulaziz Hirsi, Walal Sodawo, thank you very much for watching me all the way from Bangladesh. I really like to see that, the Somalida, we're just all over the place, all over the world, right? And it's just one of the things too that I wanted to talk about today is how we're all over the world. And it is a good thing and it is somewhat, a bad thing. So here I am, I speak English, right? Primarily English, Somali wali waan ku hadlaa, but Englishka ii fudud. And then there are people, I don't know what, Bengal? Is that what you speak in Bangladesh, Bengal? All right. So I'm waiting to hear from people to tell me how they've been managing stress. Okay, maybe if you're not a parent, right? We're not all parents, and that's perfectly okay. But what kind of things have you been doing? One thing that I would share with you is that whether you're a parent or not, take care of yourself. Take care of your mental and emotional health. It is really, really difficult to be stuck indoors. It's difficult to not have that additional what do you call it, reinforcement or just like reinvigoration of seeing other people. Energy baa laga qaataa dadka kale, so dadka kale markaad like la sheekaysatid, just waxaad dareemaysaa your life, qof nool inaad tahay. Laakiin gurigaan ku cabursannahay badankeena hadde oo maxaa la yidhahdaa, what do I say, daryeelaya caafimaadkeena, because weli coronavirus adduunku ku jira. marka Sahara Abubakar, assalamu alaikum. Adigo sidoo kale abaya soo dhawow. I'm really happy to see you. I'm so glad that you guys are here. Wallahi, makes me so happy that you're joining me here on the live. Marka aad ba umahadsantiin. I just want to thank you again and again and again. I really appreciate that a lot. So I'm just trying to manage make sure that I see your comments and I acknowledge, you are here with me, where you could have been everywhere, right? Meel kasta, meel aad rabtid hadda maanta. May banaanka maya because coronavirus ba jirta, laakiin wax kalaad iska qabsan lahayd. Laakiin ana ila joogta, ana ila sheekaysanaysaa. You're joining your time with me, and I really appreciate that. So some things that I have been doing in managing my stress is I've just been making sure that I do things that I enjoy. There are things that I enjoy, such as I love listening to music. I do a little bit of playing music, so I like to do that too. And I've been making sure that I connect with my child as much as possible. Sometimes guriga markaad just ku cabursan tihiin, you just kind of waad kala daalaysiin, waad kala daalaysiin. Waxaa dhihi, oh my goodness, guriga adiga le markasta waas arkaysiin. Ani horta siiba, I'm a single mother. Ani wiilkaygana, he's an only child. Marka labadeena le waay. Every morning, every day, waxaa waay adiga le miya, adiga marka la haya, how are you? So we've been trying to have a schedule. We've been trying to do things that we love to do. And dadka bani aadamka shakhsi ahaan waxay haystaan different things ay jecel yihiin. Aniga waxaan jeclahay inaan meel iska fadhiisto, buugayga iska akhrisado, warxayga iska qorqorto, just chill time, mar qaarkood inaan film ku tuurto. Laakiin too much activity badan ma jecla. Maybe waxaa igu wacan, I've gotten older, maybe taas igu wacan. Laakiin wiilkayga waa qof yar, energy badan buu haystaa, wuxuu rabaa inuu boodboodo ciyaaro. Guriga ku cabirtaankiisa horta dhib bay asaga ku noqotaba. Marka waxaan jecelnahay waxyaalo qaarkood oo like happy ka dhiga inaan subino. Every day waan soconaa, so we go outside to walk. And that's been good, walking outside to walk. Because markaad guriga joogtid and you're not like shaqadii aad awal qaban jirta ma subinaysid, your body gets tired. Your body just gets tired. And waxaad dareemaysaa cajis le baan dareemaya. Cajis badan baan dareemaya horta waayaan dhan. So waxaan subiyey every single day badankooda, we just go outside and walk. We just walk outside. And we do like at least 2 miles. Waxaan haysanaa this like trail, meel baan soconnaa. And then waan soconnaa. Intaas waan soconnana waan sheekaysanayna. We're talking while we're walking. And you get to learn a lot about your kids when you talk with them, aad baan sheekaysanaa. And it's not like face to face. Mogta qofka wuxuu dareemaya more free. Haddaad isku horjoodin oo aad like isfiirinaynin, qofka wuxuu dareemaya like more free. Wuxuu rabu sheegi karaa, especially teenager markuu yahay, mar rabaan like inaad fiirisid markaad la hadlaysid. Marka sidoo qofka da'diisa horta ay ku xiran tahay baa loola sheekaystaa. So that's what we do. Waan soconnaa, and then gamekiisu iga sheekeyni, saaxiibihiisu iga sheekeyni, filmaantu jecel iga sheekeyni. Wax badan baad ka baran kartaa ilmahala. Anigana, waxaan dareemayaa, I feel relaxed. Waan la sheekaysanaya. I'm learning about my child more. Marka it's just a really good time. So what do you guys do? Waxaa idinka subsin? Sahara soo dhawow, walaal soo dhawow. Haya, let's see. Maxanta maanta waxaa dhahdeen af Soomaali ku hadla, marka Soomaaligaan badsaday, I never thought this much Somali inaan ku hadli karaba. Wax kasta waa la isku dayaa, soo maaha. So what kind of de-stressing things that's subinaysan? What kind of things have you guys been doing to de-stress yourself? Xogaa aan u fakarno cali dhaantana waa noogu tuurayaa ii sheegayna si fiican u maqashiin. Yeah, markii la ismaqlo dalka meer gaaraya. I really like this song. Aad baan ugu jeclahay. You know, I just really love this song, and it's such a beautiful message, right? Markii la ismaqlo ayuu dalka meer gaaraya. That's good. Bailawi says, walk is so underrated. Beautiful parenting done right here. Taking notes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You know, parenting is it's a lot of trial and error, you know, and there's not really a way to know sometimes that you're doing it correctly. As long as your children are safe, as long as they're safe and, you know, they have all their basic needs met, we still need to go above and beyond, but give yourself some credit. As long as your children are safe and they're getting their basic needs met, you are doing a good job, okay? Sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, you know, could there be more things that I could do? wax baa iga maqan ma wax baan suubinaynin markuu weynaado wax buu tabi doonaa you're upset because you qof dhan baad mas-uul ka tahay wax kastiisoo dhan mas-uul aad ka tahay marka it's just shaqo adag waay it's just such a difficult job but it's a very rewarding job again qof dhan baad mas-uul ka tahay you know so it's just an amazing you know job a position role I feel like there's nothing else ani horta noloshayda aan suubin karo oo you know shaqada waaridnimada ka weyn there isn't anything else I could do you know so Naima Abai, thank you so much you know I gotta look presentable you know dad waaweyn oo macquul you know baan soo hor fadhiisanaya marka I have to be presentable you know I've got to you know do what I need to do and also you know when I make a little bit of effort it's also self-care for me you know so it's also self-care like making myself up and you know looking in the mirror and saying oh girl you know you got it makes me feel more alive it makes me feel like qof inaan ahaa anigaba markarkood marka cajiska iga bato I just get so tired and I'm like you know I'm gonna get dressed up dhar baan xiranay makeup baan isku tuuri maxaa la yiraahdaa I'm just gonna go ahead and it makes me feel like alive you know markaas wax baan qabsan karaa wax baan qorqoran karaa I feel like you know I'm alive lakin haddaan pijamahayga isaga jiro oo waxba maxaa la yiraahdaa aan makeupkayga marsanin oo waxba aan subin waxaan dareemaya cajis like weli inaan sarid ku hurtaan dareemaya so makeup is self-care for me I love it حتى برفور حتى just smelling that you know whether it's perfume for women or whether it's like the cologne for men it changes your attitude and it changes your like you know you're alive you're here so it's good thank you Though I really appreciate it and I'm so happy Horta that you're here I want to give a huge shout out to Naima she's just such a lovely person she supports me and I love you thank you Abayo and she's just you know so kind and I just you know love her I love her message you know she also comes on live and talks about really important things so I want you guys to give a shout out to Naima Mohammed she's really amazing and حقوق dumarka aad oga hadasha and I love that so much as a woman she's a woman of my heart Marka we're talking about parenting in the time of Corona so what else have I been doing of course as a teacher I can't help but incorporate learning times here and there markas waxaan jeclay inaan like waxbarasho meesha soo dhexgeliyo you know I have to have like learning time in there I always encourage wiilkayga at least hal shay maanta one new information baro wax shay maxaa la yiraahdaa shay adi cusub baro something new that you didn't know about before so and life is not, like education is not only about waxaad galaaska ku baratid so it's not only in the classroom education is everywhere so I challenge you everybody you know try every day that you learn a new skill that you learn you know you read about something you've never read about before broaden your horizons and you know just like your physical body needs exercise your brain needs exercise as well so exercise your brain muscles you know and make sure that you know you're you're making sure that your brain is taken care of and that it's nourished, and doing all of that sets you up for success. So that's another thing. I can't help it, you know how kids are when it's summer. They just feel like, oh, it's summer, like I don't feel like learning. So I'm trying to like inaan jeclaysiiyo waxbarashada, ma aha markasta glass baad ku dhex jirtaa oo wax baad qoraysaa. Other ways of learning waxyaala kale, حتى markaan banaanka socono. Yeah, I asked him about the trees. I asked him about the flowers. I asked him what he's thinking. So just kind of like challenging, his thinking, and just making sure that he is, exercising his brain. And he's a fitness buff. He loves fitness, and he exercises, and he encourages me to exercise too. So I relate like his physical exercise to also exercising his brain. Making that connection is important. I think he like is drawn to that. He says like, oh, I have to exercise my body, I'm going to exercise my brain as well. So I think it's something that has worked for me as a parent. I don't know if it works for you, but you can try different ways to connect with your child. You don't necessarily have to have like dazzling, fantastic activities. A lot of times, they want your time. وقت inaad la wadaagtid inaad la subis waxyaalaha qaarkood ay jecel yihiin. Hadda aniga Ridwan waxaan ciyaarnaa, we play Monopoly gameyaasha board games ka ciyaarnaa. We play Uno, we play this Connect 4. mid kastana wuu iga badiyaa. The kid is amazing. Mid kasta wuu iga badiyaa. Wuxuuna i baray xataa, he teaches me his video games. So, and this is something that he enjoys, So it's really important to connect with your children on things that they enjoy, so that, they know you see them as a person, you see them in their entirety, not as your child only. They're a whole person. Marka interestkooda markaa la wadaagtid, they feel happy. And happiness the maskaxday u fiican tahay. We all know that stresska iyo unhappiness-ka inay wax noo dhimayso, and we are stressed out because coronavirus adduunka ka jiro, adduunka dhan xoogaa weli xirxiran yahay. Inkastoo meelo la furfuray, there's still a threat out there. There's still coronavirus out there, So if you can, diyaan awoodno, waxaa noo haboon, haddee shaqo nagu kalifaynin, danka nagu kalifaynin, waxaa haboon inaan, guriga joogno. Guri joogana dhibkiisuu leeyahay. So try to do what you can to make an experience, good for both yourself and your children. It is difficult indeed. Speaking of coronavirus, right? Coronavirus is still around, but we're still talking about really important things like school reopenings. So schools are reopening, or at least most here in the United States, at least, we're talking about school reopening. Schools might be reopening here in August or September, but we're trying to find the best way to do this. So how do we do this? There's a demand for schools reopening because parents need to go to work, and a lot of parents are working outside of the school, outside of the homes. So they're relying waxay isku halaynayaan schoolka inay ilmahooda joogaan when they are going to work. Waalidka markuu shaqaynaya, hadda schoolka markuu xiran yahay, it causes a lot of problems for families because they now have to worry about childcare, and childcare is money. Not only that, that means the child is spending somewhere else. So that's also a potential risk. There's a potential risk in having, that multiple contact. But then also there's a risk in schools reopening because now they're young people and they're not very good with staying away from each other. And the younger they are, the harder they might have with wearing a mask. So school reopening as a teacher is obviously stressing me out as well. It is definitely stressing me out a lot. But, the kids need an education, and the parents need somewhere for the kids to be. And, in the spring, we had online learning, which has proven to be really difficult, even for those of us who have access to technology all over technology consistently. It was stressful. I have technology at home. My son has technology at home. It was still a really stressful time. So in the discussions about school reopening, we have so many moving parts, right? What if an outbreak occurs. A lot of schools are opening, and then they said if an outbreak occurs, we might just go back to online learning. So there's like that decision-making aspect of, should schools reopen? If yes, and there's a push for yes, obviously, yes, we need an education, but in what format? In what format are we going to be doing the learning? Schools obviously are trying to make sure that they curb infections and take adequate measures such as sanitation, making sure classrooms are not big, maybe having a rotation of students of, going to school one day, not going to school the next day, so that you have an on and off day, different students each day, so that there aren't many people in the same room. But, there's a lot of challenges occurring. There's a lot of challenges like associated with that. And time will tell, time will tell. So we will see what that's going to look like. So who's anxious about schools reopening? All right, so Hassan D, Sondowo, very glad that you are here today. I really appreciate it. So no mask today, darling. Like I'm at home, so I'm not wearing a mask at home, obviously, right? But when I go outside, I'm wearing my mask. So also I'm thinking about all of the precautions that I've been taking, and I'm thinking about, intaan dhan guriga joogtay meel ma aadaynin marka meel aadin the mask baad xiranaysay, and now you're going to go back to work. And what if shaqada dhan hadda aad qabanaysay aad saad isu ilaalinaysay just kind of goes out the window? So that's a challenge. Childcare is really a lot, and it's something that parents deal with. My child's 13 years old. If push comes to shove, and they run imaado guriga kaligiis mu joogi karaa, ilma 13 sano jiro, most likely saacado xoogaa guriga wuu joogi karaa. Lakin waaridka ilmaha yar haysta that have younger children is going to be really challenging for them. It's just going to be really hard. So childcare costs are a lot. I remember babygayga markuu yaraa inta lacag iga bixi jirtay. Allah, inta lacag iga bixi jirtay. I remember, and it was very, very, very painful. So yeah, it's really difficult. It's really difficult. Oh, it is very difficult. All right, here comes Ali Dante again. I just really love this song, Wala عجبي هستا ولا عجبي قصر العشتنا يا مان هرتا. I just love it, aad ma wala عجبي. Just love it. All right, school frame. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today is reframing failure, right? So I've been asking people like throughout the week, like, hey, what does failure mean? What does failure mean to you? How do you respond? How do you respond to failure? How do you bounce back from failure? How do you do all of that? So what does failure mean to you? When you think about failure, what do you think? Ridwan, whoa, you got my son's name. My son's name is Ridwan. And, I've seen both girls and boys with that name. So it's always, I love that about that name, actually. Wan Chalhai. Yeah. So how do you bounce back from failure? What does failure mean to you? I know for me that when, goodness, I remember a time when failure was literally the end of the world for me. It was literally the end of the world for me. I thought everybody could see what an utter total loser I was. If I failed an exam, if I had a relationship that failed, or if I had a bad parenting moment, I would just feel just devastated, and I would just feel like it was the end of the world. And I would just be in depressive mode for days. And I just thought to myself, one day, this isn't realistic, because I would see that life was going on. You got up the next day. And, I would get up the next day and go to work and go to school and, still be taking care of my child. And life wasn't over, even though I catastrophized the event in my head, So I made the event in my head like it was the end of the world, even though, it really wasn't the end of the world, right? It really wasn't the end of the world. There was more to come. And I needed to learn a way to deal with failure. I needed a way to bounce back from failure. So, how do you bounce back from failure? How do you bounce back from failure? Bila Acton Sodo, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am doing good. The topic, we have had a variety of topics today. Right now, we're talking about failure, right? So we're talking about failure and how we approach failure and how we can utilize it to, do positive work for us. All right. So Salwa Hussein, Sodoa Abayo, welcome. I'm really glad that you're here, fellow teacher and future assistant principal. I love Somali educators. Well, I'm so happy for you. I'm excited for you. And, I'm just so glad all of these young Somali students that are going to see you and that are going to see themselves reflected in education. That is my dream. And I'm just so glad for those kids. And I'm just so happy. Someone said failure means an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. Oof, that's a whole sermon, self-reflection and growth. It really is. It really is. So when you reckon with failure, right? When you realize like, hey, I failed at this. Then what? Now what? What's next, right? You really think about it instead of just ignoring it and just like shutting it away, you just shut it away in your brain. You're like, I'm not dealing with this right now. I'm going to just have a pity party here. And I'm just going to just feel sorry for myself for a while. And then hopefully, conveniently, I will forget about this utter failure, so that is not, then it doesn't become a teaching moment, right? So for it to be an opportunity for self-reflection and growth, you actually have to confront it head on. You have to say, yes, I failed. And this is maybe how this happened, or these are the circumstances in which it happened. Maybe if I change things next time this way or that way, I could have a better outcome, right? So Bailawi said, perhaps most times we set objectives we barely examine and use it as a benchmark. Could you be setting unrealistic goals for yourself, right? I always talk to my students about setting SMART goals, and I also set SMART goals for myself. So as I'm setting goals for myself, I ask myself, is this a SMART goal? Is this a goal that I can actually accomplish? So a SMART goal is like that it's specific. So SMART goals, it's specific, right? So whatever you are trying to do, so it's kind of like an acronym, SMART goals. So it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable. Right? So attainable, and the R is it's realistic, and it's time sensitive. So it's a goal that you want to achieve within a specific time, and it's realistic based on where you are in your life, what you've learned so far, what you're willing to do, and how long in that time frame. If you're saying like, I'm going to lose, so that's a specific part, right? 10 pounds in 1 month, right? You have to be realistic there. Is it possible to lose 10 pounds in 1 month? Is it possible for you? Is it realistic for you based on your eating habits, based on your exercise habits, right? So you have to set goals that are specific, that are attainable for you, that are time sensitive, and that can be measured. And when you measure things, you're more likely to achieve your goals. And when you don't reach that particular goal, then you can analyze more efficiently what went wrong. So I think that's like really, really important. Reframing failure, not thinking of failure as something that's only specific to you. Everybody fails, right? It is an important life lesson. And failure has been, to be honest, one of my most important teachers. Through many many a times bruised ego and everything. I have learned to get back up and try again. But although we hear this all the time, that failure is part of life, there's such strong emotions tied to failure. We really feel it. And once our feelings are all involved in it, start feeling bad about it. And we typically don't share with other people. So I thought to myself, what do we typically share? We share our successes. We share the jobs we got, the programs of education we got into, but we don't really share the jobs we didn't get, the programs we didn't get into. And I thought maybe if we shared failures as well, that we could see that this is something that is common and that everybody has, and it's just much more normalized. Right? Because right now we are a very, very success-driven society. We're a society that's based on, as a teacher, for students, it's for grades, for the adult in terms of success, it's college, it's, jobs, it's money. So very success-driven society. So how do we reframe failure? We share our failures. We celebrate failures. We don't only have to share our successes. So we can also share our failures and say, hey, things didn't quite go well for me. I didn't get X. But you know what? It's okay. Life does go on. What do you guys think about that? Sharing our failures. Do you think sharing failures is something that could be effective? Talk to me. Marka haddaad maxaa Soomaaliga sida lagu dhahaa haddaad wax ku guushaada haddaad gaari weyda, I guess waxaad ahaataba hadday ahaato waxbarasho, hadday ahaato shaqo, waxay ahaataba ma la wadaagi lahayd dadka oo ma u malaynaysaa faa'iido inay ku jirto inaad la wadaagtid dadka, mise maceeb bay kugu tahay inaad la wadaagtid? hadday ceeb kugu tahay, sideena u arki karnaa markaad hadda guushaada aad gaari weydo? Sideen failure, Somali failure, hadda maxaa lagu dhahayaa? English is my first language at this point, but how can we use failure then as a teaching moment? Haddaad dadka aan la wadaagi karin xataa, that failure is okay. And that it's something that everybody goes through. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with today. Think about it. How do we reframe failure? How do we think about failure? And how can we set ourselves up for success in the future? Our Bailawi says we're all mediocre and it's beautiful. And worst is when the very objective we set for ourselves is one that is set by society. Oof. So how many goals are there that people set that really aren't from from themselves? It isn't something that they want to do. It isn't a goal that they want to reach. It's a goal that's going to give them some sort of social capital, right? It's something that's going to make them look good in front of people. Or maybe it's not looking good. Maybe it's avoid looking bad. Right? So sometimes we have social values that if we don't meet, a certain thing, then it looks bad on us. It reflects poorly on us. It reflects poorly on our family, etc. Fashil is the closest translation. Somebody told me fashil, Bailawi said, it's the closest translation to failure. Oh, fashil. Fashil just kind of seems to me like revealed, or I'm trying to think about the times that fashil has been used. When fashil has been used, it's been kind of like, it's like that kind of like negative connotation, negative connotation. Ooh, fashil my amal. We use that in a very negative connotation. When we say ooh, fashil my, it means something bad, right? So what's another word that we can use that is like, it's kind of realistic that someone, like had the class ku fashiltay. may galaaska waad ku dhacaysaa waa ku dhacday is different than galaaska waa ku fashilantay mise grade fiican oo mark fiican kamaad helin. So we need to think about a word. I don't know the word. Dadka igu maxaa la dhaamo waad ii sheegi kartiin. I don't know. I don't think fashil is the closest. I don't know if fashil is the closest one. Fashil seems like there's a heavy negative connotation, you know? So what's English in fashil? Who fashil may? He was exposed. Ooh, who fashil may means he was exposed. So like when you talk about failure, no, I don't think it's, you know, who fashil may. All right, a little music break.
No one knows the secret.
Got a little hot. I love this song. All right, so I got more comments. Okay, people said dip uda. Okay, so dip uda. Bailawi said, yeah, fashion may be a harsh word, but it is how it's viewed in society. So markaad adgaar weydo guushaada, when you don't, you know, successfully, I guess, reach your goal, it's as though aad fashiltay. Is that correctly? All right, so Bila says to share ways and steps you failed is really, really good idea, because telling others or sharing with them, maybe it means you told them to avoid that step. So getting failure is good. I agree. Sometimes sharing failure, it's a public service. It really is a public service. I love the public service aspect of sharing failures. I will tell you straight up, meshas markta, hogba kuyalo. Avoid it. Don't go there. So it's a way of public service too. Sharing your failures, you can tell other people what to avoid, and make sure that they're successful. Lakin dadka qaarkood ma rabaan dad kale inay successful ay noqdaan wixii adeega ay maxaa la yiraahdaa ay ku guuleysan waayeen. So there's also that human element there of I failed, and it's really hard to see somebody else get what I want, right? So we need to work through that, and that it's not a bad thing that another person is successful, and that it's a good thing to do to tell someone where you failed so that they can be successful. And it makes our world overall a better place. You know, we have more clarity in the world, and we have more people being successful. So it's a public service, in my opinion. Ramla Abaisado, how are you? So Ramla said, Somali word would be guldara. Okay, guldara. I can see that. Yes, that one seems very like gul, like kind of a goal. Dara, like wahad waited, you know, or gul, like All right, what this says, fashil means like failure to me. Okay. MMC also said gul dara. Thank you. All right, what this says, khasara is the heavier one for me. Qasara, yeah, qasara means like it's over, game over, done. Qasara. I don't know. That's difficult too. Waad guuldareysatay markaada ku dhacday examka. Ha, so you put it like in a full sentence, but I've realized a lot of words mararka qaarkood erayaasha aan afgariiska ku garanaya haddaan damco inaan ku fasiraa Somali. In Somali, I have this whole big chunk of words for this one English word, you know, so it just becomes like kind of difficult, right? Waad guuldareysatay, so you weren't successful. Markaada ku dhacday examka. Okay? Ha, waa xaasid qofka nacab guusha dadka kale. Waa runta wallahi, waa xaasid qofkaas. It's a public service again to share with other people where you failed, you know, where you failed. So definitely. There's much to talk about reframing failure. And you know what? I'm going to put that in my notes as something to come back to. You know, I'll share with you what some other people have said so far. I shared this question a few days ago, and let me see. Reframe failure. Hey, let me see what some people said. Okay, Mustafa, he's not here, but I'll share his comment. Failure is needed. It's a stepping stone towards success or a hill to get over. Without failure, people would never branch out of their comfort zones, and they need to, because nothing grows there. How about that? That is a whole message. Getting out of your comfort zone. Because if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you don't grow as a person. You know? So you don't grow as a person. Bila says, Gul is success and Guldara is the against word. Okay, so Guldara is the best way to explain, in my opinion. So we're still talking about like explaining what failure is in Somali. All right. Jamila says, without failure, you're not living. So that means without failure, you're not taking any chances. And if you're not taking any chances, you're not really living. And that goes back to what Mustafa said about about staying in your comfort zone. If you're not going out of your comfort zone, then you're not really growing. All right, so I really like those answers right there. Ahmed says, failure exists and it's part and parcel of living. Fail and keep going. That's really good. Yeah, fail and keep going. You just keep going. And while we also need to acknowledge and have that reflection piece, the way that our good sister Selma said, have that reflection piece of how can I modify my goals next time? What can I do different so that I can be successful, right? That is also important. And also the way Ahmed says, fail, keep going. Fail, keep going. That is part of life. Some said acknowledging that failing is part of life, but that doesn't mean it defines you. Oh my goodness, this goes back to when I said I felt like it was the end of my world when I would fail at something. It was like the end. It was like a catastrophe. It was like, that's it. I'm done. So just not internalizing that failure and not making it part and parcel of your identity. That it's just a moment in time. It's a moment here in your life, and it's not your entire life. And it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Definitely. All right. So definitely an excellent mindset to have. I gave her a rebuttal, like a follow-up question there. What about the emotional component of failure? How do we shake those feelings of this is the end of my world? And how do you stop yourself from feeling bad about yourself, feeling bad about your own worth, right? So she says, I think it's natural to feel regrets, blaming yourself. I would say allow yourself to feel them, but let them not hold you back from trying again. Celebrate the small successes you've made so far. Don't be hard on yourself. And remember, Rome was not built in a day. There is always tomorrow. Absolutely. There's always tomorrow. Practice makes progress, right? So you don't just meet your goals right away. Things take time. You know what I mean? Things take time. All right. We will revisit failure another time because this is very important. And I want to go back to the song. Alayla Jailka. So I want to share with you guys my LOL moments of the week. And I just waxaan qoray statuskayga shala. Waxaan dhahay dhammee weedankan finish this sentence. Waxaana dhahay guurka Soomaaliyeed waa. So you have to finish the sentence with guurka Soomaaliyeed waa. Haye. So people said, so I'll show you with the funny ones, okay? Somebody said musibo. So waxay tiri guurka Soomaaliyeed waa musibo. Another person said business and kid production factory. Somebody says iska daba wareegi lugoyo. Another person said guurka Soomaaliyeed waa jahwareer. Somebody said waa isku danaysi. mid kale waxay tiri labadoo cunug aan kala dhalna kadibna kala yaacno. Haye dadka oo dhahay wuna fiican yahay waxa waaye waa janno kusug. Or like waa janno kusug. Oh, I like that. Haye waa barwaaqa kulaha. Maxaa la yiraahdaa waa malab kulaha mid kalena. Waa naxariis iyo jacayl. Waa guur gobeed. Waa mid Ilaahay barakeeyo. Aya. Okay, dhaxalka nolosha guurka Soomaaliyeed waa dhaxalka nolosha. Haya. Mid kalena wuxuu yiri guurka waa guusha nolosha ee wada jir loo raadsho. Qof kalena kind of moderation waxay dhahaan waa waxaad ka dhigatid. maxay dhahaan midna wuxuu yiri guurka waa farxad iyo nolol macaan laakiin aniga wali ma guursanin. So I just love these responses that I wanted to share with you guys. So MMC Fear wuxuu yiri wuxuu noqon karaa janno ama cadaab, right? Waxay ku xiran tahay qofka aad nolosha la wadaagaysid sama aha. Marka idinka hadda meesha jooga ii sheega, what do you think? What do you think guurka Soomaaliyeed waa dhamaystiray weedankaas? waxaan erayo cusub aan Soomaaliga ku barta mar qaarkood bogtaa waan jeclaa wallahi luqadda Soomaaliga inaan barto. Waxaan soo bartay weedan sentence. Marka guurka Soomaaliyeed waa, let me look at another one. Instagram-kana xataa waan weydiiyey waxyaalo badan ay soo sheegeen. Mid waxay tiri haweenka hala raro kaligood. Mid kale waxay tiri ilmo aan isku dhalna dumarka shaqaale camal u soo xareyso. Mid kale waxay dhahaan inay gabadha ku adeegsadaan marna ay ilmo u dhasho marna ay guriga uga shaqeyso. qofba wuxuu yiri wanaagii naxariis waaye dadka ma wada sinna waa adiga iyo nasiibkaada. qof kale wuxuu yiri cadaalad xumo. I always see women taking BS. Lakin on the other hand, we won't exist without our parents marrying and giving the gift of life to new ones. All right. qof kale wuxuu yiri aan ku qaba kaligay aan ku taliyo kaligay naagtayda ahow oo aan ku cadaadiyo. أعوذ بالله. mid kale waxay dhahaan halis waaye Somali men can be so toxic. ay maxaad idinka u malaynaysiin guurka Soomaaliyeed ii sheega. What do you guys think? Okay, Abu Zayd wuxuu yiri guurka waa risk loo baahan yahay. Risk, yeah. waxaa maqli jiray guur waa god aad gacanta la gashay. maxaa la dhihi jiray god aad gacanta la gashay, you don't know waxa kaaga soo baxay, ma lacag baa kaaga soo baxaysa, ma naxariis baa kaaga soo baxaysa, mise abeesa kaaga soo baxaysa. You don't know, right? It's very risky, you know? Very risky. I don't know about that personally. Aniga hata. Hey, that was the LOL. On a little bit more somber note, you know, I wanted to just go ahead and talk a little bit before I run out of here. I really appreciate all of your time, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, somebody has one more to say. One more thing to say about guurka Soomaalida, yeah? Okay, guurka Soomaalida waa silac waa maxaa silac I think it's a silac ku meel gaar ah iyo danaysi. Haye. Some bill wuxuu yiri Somali is good, but still some bad traditional things. Haye. wax kastaba wax fiican iyo wax xun bay leedahay samaaham. waxaan rabay so today is the first anniversary of the death of our good sis Hodan Nalaya, Allah u naxariisto. So you know, it was really hard time for me around this time, as last year, as I can imagine, is for a lot of people, you know, that oo ka qaracmay, you know, dhimashadeeda. Marka, just wanted to give a moment to remember her and, remember her contributions, to Somali society, remember contributions, especially, to Somali womanhood. Nak Iskadik and Nagnol will live on forever. And at this time last year, to be honest, I was in Somalia and I had just arrived there the day before. So on June 11th, I came to Somalia, and on June 12th, Hodon died. And I had apprehensions, about going to Somalia. It had been 26 years, and I was excited to go, but I was also afraid. And then the next day, our good sis, Allah Harissa, she died in a quite terrible way. So just want us to remember her and to continue, the kind of work that she wanted to do to showcase the Somali people in a positive light, and to, teach our children Somali culture and the things, good things about us, and make sure that we have a place in this world, and that our association, as Somali people, is in famine and drought and terrorism and just all of these in war, constant war, to try to show a different image, so that the next generations more and more see immense value, in themselves and in their people and in their lands. So Allah Nahariso Hodan, and hope you guys, remember her as well for all the great things that she's done. It's 51 minutes, guys. Okay, even though it's been 50 minutes. So I'm gonna call it a day, okay? Marka aad ba umahadsantiin. I'm really glad that you guys are here. Thank you very, very much. We'll talk again next time. Same time here next Sunday. Halle Arko. So it's called Udgoon Weekly because it's a weekly show, live stream, because I like the interaction, I like the engagement. I like all of your feedback. Maybe laga yaaba walaalka mise walaasha inay ku jirto sama marka waxaan jeclaa this exchange of information. I just love it, and it's something that I enjoy a lot. And if it's something that you enjoy, I'll see her again next Sunday, inshallah, at 3 p.m. Eastern time zone, because I'm in, New York time, even though I live in, Ohio. And about 10 p.m., I believe, East African time. Hadda jogtit, Arada in the East, right? So I will see you guys next time. Ma'asalam. Have a great one.